Okay, good morning, everybody. My name is Kaylee Hasha with TJK Consulting Engineers. I'm the current Allied Director with AIA. And of course, want to thank you all for joining Coffee with an Architect this morning. A few housekeeping items. Just make sure that you're muted so we're able to hear Anne as she speaks and talks to us. We love Q&A, so please feel free to ask questions in the chat box. I'll try to watch that throughout our conversation. And of course, at the end, we open up to Q&A and you're welcome to unmute and ask Anne any questions. Of course, Anne Johnson, she is our guest architect this morning. Anne Johnson is Spark Flight Studios principal and practicing architect and an artist with more than 29 years of professional experience. Her education and career include project experience in Nevada, Arizona, California, Florida, Kentucky, Ohio, Massachusetts, England, and even Mexico. In addition to new design, her experience includes renovating a variety of existing commercial, institutional, and multifamily residential structures. She excels in synthesizing client requirements into attractive, effective, efficient, and sustainable design. Awards include 2016 ENR Best Project in Public Building for RTC Training Interiors, recognition in 2009 by the Housing Authority of Las Vegas, Nevada, and the winning entry in 2007, Creating Communities, Innovative Design for Desert Living, City of Henderson, Nevada. And I think even Henderson Events Plaza just received an award from ULI this year. So we would like to welcome Anne Johnson. How are you this morning?
I'm doing fine. I'm joining you from the RTC, so I hopefully our communications will not get too spotty because I'm like in a bunker.
Oh, you're good. So far, so good. So I
Good.
always like to start out the meetings. Obviously, we live in the world of architecture and AEC. And I just like to ask, what does architecture mean to you and why do you love being an architect?
Yeah, and I'm going to expand it to like architecture and design and art because to me those things are kind of fluid together. And what I like about it, I mean, at the core, I like being able to create special experiences for people, but also just that joy of bringing something out of nothing that we all get to experience. So it's just an amazing thing that we get to do, to imagine something and then realize it. So and being able to do that as a team sport, because it is collaborative and we rely on so many other people, like the way that it's like making a movie, I say sometimes to people as an analogy, but it's just a pleasure to work with people and create spaces for people. So at the heart of it, people drive me, and that's why I wake up in the morning. Yeah.
Yeah, that's fantastic. So in your bio, you obviously your experience spans all over the country and even out. You went to school in Ohio and London and Arizona. Um, all of those locations very, very different. So, were there architectural structures or elements from the landscape in those areas that still inspire your design today?
Yeah, and I worked in Mexico for a while too, a brief time. And so I think it's not necessarily that there's a particular structure, but it's just the experience of being in such a variety of environments. And I think travel is so crucial for our profession too. So seeing how different people can live differently and make adaptations, being in an urban environment, urban space really is probably what impacts me the most, and recognizing the potential of public spaces and how they interface with buildings, open spaces, the importance of open spaces, but also how structures can enhance the experience of those open spaces by hemming them in and things like that. So those impressions and those exposures are more what influenced me rather than a particular structure. Although, I mean, so many cool buildings, especially in London, like that's
Mm,
in Europe, like those are all good experiences. Yes.
yeah, definitely. Your career expands, from commercial to multifamily, and specifically, I think, a lot of people know that you work with Southern Nevada Housing Authority. So if you could speak to your partnership with them and what those housing designs have meant to you over the years.
Well, so when I say people are what matter, I think there's just like a essential human dignity to having shelter and having a safe and good place to live. So our partnership and our work with them is very significant to me, but I know everyone in my firm as well for those reasons. And those are some of the things I was exposed to when I traveled in other places and travel in this city too. We have poverty, and it can prevent people from having that basic human experience of human dignity sometimes. So it's personally very gratifying when we can bring a building out of the ground that helps support people with shelter and feeling important and special. And our renovation work as well, our rehabs matter too. And it's an amazing experience to go back to a property and then just have someone not even necessarily knowing who you are or what your role is in the team, but to say, hey, like, I'm so happy I got to live here. Something like that it makes all the difference in the world. Again, like why we get up and go to our office in the morning. Yeah.
Yeah. For the
We
young
do more,
professional,
by the way.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. For the
Yeah.
young professionals on the call, what advice would you give them on how to curate relationships like that, either with the housing authority, or it could be a university or any client for that matter? Is there a sort of a key thing that you focus on to make sure you develop those relationships?
Yeah, and we're fortunate to enjoy a lot of repeat clientele. And I think at the core, like, be genuine, be be yourself. I think that kind of honesty and trust builds a relationship in a really positive way. Show up, and by that I mean, like, be engaged with the process. Of course, like, say what you do what you say as much as possible. We're all human, but having that kind of consistency really matters. Words and deeds. But also, I think just trying to not freebies, but look for how can you go the extra mile, or how can you bring support to their process whenever you can. I think that's always a positive that a client will value.
Yeah. Do you have a project over the years that stands out sort of above the rest, like anything that was unique or particularly special to you?
This is the question I should have said. Like, don't, like, take it out. It's too it's really hard to choose.
It's like a favorite child,
Um,
I've heard. Like, I'm asking, do you have a
yeah,
favorite child?
yeah. Um, so I mean, there's one project. It's like a little nugget of a project. This was a dance studio addition to the Winchester Cultural Center, and really cool life to it because it was actually envisioned, and I would say initially created by the students, by a group of dance instructors and students who are really dedicated. They'd been having years of practice on hard linoleum floors, but built this camaraderie and program. They imagined having this dance studio added to the complex. They lobbied their commissioners, they fundraised, and they brought this project to bear. And so we were really honored to be able to get that commission. And then we did our best to listen to them and deliver something unique and special. And we did. And when we got to see that grand opening, and they had an event, and like the previous students and the current students came out to the studio. It had a sprung floor, right? So it was good for the dancers' bodies. And they were dancing and celebrating and laughing in that space. And that was a really beautiful moment. So I'll always take that away. But there are other, like, cool technical projects that I find fascinating. Like, we did an asymmetrical structure. So at Clark County Government Center, for a unique kind of sculptural photovoltaics parking structure. And we were out there in the middle of the night because we had to work at night because it's a public building. And because of the asymmetry, we had these massive cranes that were loading all of these gigantic counterweights to hold the steel structure in place while the concrete set. So, like, really technical experiences like that are special and exciting too. So
Yeah.
here's a little sampling.
Yeah, yeah. And do you do a lot of projects where there's art involved? You said you kind of see it as one.
As
Are
much
there?
as possible,
Okay.
as much as possible. And we, try to sneak it in as much as we can. Yeah, I mean, we recently completed the working in a team, again, team sport, but a collaboration for the City of Henderson Events Plaza. We did interiors and art murals for the RTC Mobility Center, a mobility training center. So that was like 9,800 square feet of murals. So yes, we do as much as we can, and we're continuing to seek those opportunities. yeah, we did another one where it was like this sculpture actually at a courtyard in San Francisco. And it's this periscope sculpture and it's right across from Fisherman's Wharf. And that was another challenge technically too, because we had to crane it in from a parking garage because it's a really dense urban environment. So
Mhm.
yes.
Yeah. And you said, you know, you love people and the team sport. Is there anything else that really excites you about getting up and going to work every day?
Well, at this point in my career, mentoring. So that's, I mean, that's a really important experience and yeah, mentoring.
Yeah. Do you think, yeah, I think it's a good advice to give to people that are starting their career is to look for a mentor. And it's definitely a two-way street, right? We all learn from each other and
Yes,
different
yes,
points.
yeah, that's right. I'm learning as much or more from the young people that I work with, and it's really cool.
Yeah. Do, what do you look for? A lot of, the people that join the call, there's young architects and then also allied members. What's really important to you and your firm in working in those partnerships and that team sport ability? What do you look for in those companies?
Yeah, I mean, some of the basics are just like what you want in any good relationship. So that's positive communication, um, that same idea that we have with our clients of integrity, like doing what you say and say what you do kind of thing. But also definitely like to partner with innovators. So people that are um, lifelong learners that are continuing to explore how to better their own project delivery, um, or their own persons even, but also, how can we do things better? Always trying to ask that question. I want to see that in partners as well. And in particular, like, with what's going on in our world and the climate and everything too, when we're working with engineers, working with folks that are also asking those questions and seeking those answers, while we are as well, so that we can all come together and do better.
Yeah. What do you think that in your opinion, what the AIA community could be doing more of? Is there something specific in our community that we should be focusing on to better our future?
So I'm a member of two committees, and that's the Women in Architecture and also the Affordable Housing Committee. So that's part of where I'm putting my efforts. And of course, like sustainability is integrated with affordable housing as well. So there, with all structures that we're putting up right now, that has to be an integral part. Um, so as part of the Affordable Housing Committee, we're seeking tangible ways to bring solutions to the affordable housing crisis. So that we need to keep doing that and pushing hard on that. Even when the new initiatives come on board, which they do each year, I think we have to stay focused on that task.
Yeah. And sometimes those topics, they can seem overwhelming, right? And people don't know where to start and how to help. Do you have any advice on where they maybe something small that they can start? Is it volunteering? Is it,
You've been
just
listening to our meetings, Kaylee.
I haven't,
um,
but
yeah, so this is part of the show up, isn't it?
yeah.
Yes, I think that's always a great place to start is volunteering, and whether it's homeless outreach or a soup kitchen, Habitat for Humanity, there's like known organizations that are contributing to solutions. And I think even just by volunteering and participating, then you start to have a better awareness and understanding of what is happening and where the needs might be. So it's the start of a journey every time.
Yeah. We have a question from John. He said, "Hi, Anne, what drew you to architecture and design?"
So I was just by nature always a maker, fiddling with things, making stuff, and also like really enjoyed math and science, but always an artist. And so trying to find a profession and a career path where I could put those things together. So I even considered set design. I still sometimes just want to go off to Fantasyland and make set design, but that was another avenue. An aptitude test told me that my two primary career paths were forest ranger or architect, and I chose architect. So that's how I got here. Yeah.
Very nice. Thank you, John, for asking the question. And if you guys have any questions, feel free to chime in or even unmute at any point now. So you're welcome to ask. Do you what was my next question going to be? Where are you hoping to see our industry go in the next few years? Is there anything we should be focusing on as an industry as a whole? Is that the affordable housing or?
Well, I mean, obviously, yes,
Yeah.
that's a crucial thing. But in general terms too, I think construction and design are probably going to continue to be more tightly integrated, and I don't see that as a bad thing. That's just an extension of that team sport. How we deal with that contractually and in terms of our fiduciary responsibility to clients, that's got to be figured out. But we do our projects in BIM, like we're modeling 3D for all of our projects, and I think that's going to continue. It's already happening, like with mega projects where basically they're not virtual twins, but they're building the model even concurrently, slightly in advance of or concurrently with the construction process. And I think that's going to be happening more and more. And teams working together in that virtual space while we're building. And I think that has the opportunity to make our projects better. And hopefully we're finding ways to use material more effectively, to introduce systems that are more biophilic with our construction by approaching it in that way.
Yeah. Let's see, Kelly, with the current economic climate, how are your clients feeling, and do you see them being hesitant to take on projects? Thank you, Kelly.
We haven't seen that yet. I'm probably just having ridden through a few of these waves with personally and with my own business. I'm anticipating that a little bit, but trying to not get gun shy. But I think that's probably coming. And so we have to always think about, well, where is the budget coming from? Could there be a close to that stream? Are there phasing opportunities, and just trying to think ahead as well? So, I mean, again, that's like a value we can bring our clients too, is trying to anticipate and look for solutions, especially when we're talking about housing. We don't want that to stop because of money, because the need is still there. So what are ways we can keep it going?
Yeah. Does anyone have any questions? You can unmute and give a comment, ask a question for Anne before we start to wrap up. Oh, we've got another one. Let's see. Let me drag this over. In your travels, both international and domestic, was there any one place or two that inspired or influenced your art and architectural style? Thank you, Violet.
Yeah, in terms of influencing the art and architecture, I mean, art is such a subjective thing. I don't even know the magic or the process, the alchemy of how it like goes in a person and comes out a person necessarily. But I know places that I found especially inspiring, like definitely my exposure to Mexico and the muralists, and some of the work that was being done there at the time was influential. I don't know that it comes out in my style, but I know it influenced me as a person. And again, just exposure to so much and so much variety, it can't help but change how you see the world and who you are. So I've done speed tours of massive amounts of art museums across the world, of course. Yeah.
And then from Keith, how did you prep for the business end of being principal? College, continuing ed, professional organizations?
Yeah. So I had an entrepreneurial background in my family, so I had kind of an inkling that I might want to go out on my own. But I didn't really plan that through college. Unfortunately, I think I slept through most of my business law class, but I wasn't trying to. I was just exhausted from overnights at studios. But I got a little bit, maybe it was osmosis. Really, I worked in a variety of practices by intent when I graduated. So I worked small, medium, large on purpose. So I think I took notes of those processes at work. I participated in AIA, so I went to professional education from student time onward. And then also really when I got to Southern Nevada and I knew I was launching, I reached out to the community resources that are available through SBA, Small Business Development Center, and I just started getting an education. I started working really young. I was working before I was 16, but in office jobs and things like that, starting at 16, and I was managing accounting for people because I was just one of those people that they would say, "Can you do this?" Sure, and I would do it, right? So it was life experience for sure. And I took an accounting class in college. So it was a lot of sprinkles of preparation, and then some intensive training once I got here.
Yeah, that's a great question. Thanks, Keith. Are there any other questions before we wrap up? Thanks everyone for giving input. You can also unmute, so feel free. Anybody? Okay. So it is November, and obviously we should be thankful year round, but I thought I'd ask, is there anything, because we're approaching Thanksgiving, that you're particularly thankful for?
It's health. Health is the foundation. I'm really thankful for health, and family and friends, of course. Yeah, the basics.
Yeah, they're the important ones.
The essentials. Yeah. And
Well,
thank you for this opportunity. This
oh
was
my gosh.
unexpected.
No, of course. No, we appreciate you taking your time. And Alyssa just chimed in to say, thank you so much. We appreciate you sharing about yourself and your background and giving us your time and letting us know you a little bit better. It's always fun to do these, and I've been wanting to talk to you for so long, and always enjoy our conversation. So thank you so much. And thank you to all the Allied members and everyone else that attended today. On behalf of AIA, we all appreciate you and are thankful for your support of the chapter. Of course, if you have any questions regarding your Allied membership, please do not hesitate to reach out to me. I'd love to get feedback also on how you're seeing the years going, especially as we start to plan our initiatives for next year. If you're an Ally member, be on the lookout from an email from me to remind you about the AIA Gala. It is just around the corner on December 9th, so we want everyone to join in the fun. So I'll be sending a reminder on registering for that. So besides that, thank you again, Anne, and I hope everyone enjoys the rest of their week. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye. Thank you, ladies. Good to see you all.
Bye.
Thank you, Anne.
Thank you.
Haley.
Bye.
Bye.